Welcome back to the Heart Hospital here in Pretoria, where the vigil for the former South African President Nelson Mandela continues. President Obama, who's in the country on a state visit, had a private meeting with members of the Mandela family today, although he did not come to the hospital himself. To discuss the impact of the Obama visit at a time when Nelson Mandela remains critically ill, we're joined from Johannesburg by Shaka Sisulu. He's a leading figure in the ANC Youth League and a grandson of the former ANC leader, Walter Sisulu. Shaka Sisulu, I'm just wondering, for Mr. Obama, he has declared Mandela is a hero. How much of a hero is Obama to the South African people?
Well, of course, it's a mixed bag in that respect. One of the presenters at the town hall session that he chaired today did speak about the feeling of euphoria about 6 years ago, that has since seemed to have waned and subsided right across the continent. So you will find that there were many people who were initially quite enthusiastic about Mr. Obama taking the helm of leadership in the US, and maybe not so excited, particularly in light of the administration not quite being as dovish as we all had hoped it would have been.
Well, now, when Mr. Mandela came back to Soweto from prison, I was at your grandfather's house. I think you would have perhaps been about 10, and I'm just wondering, for your generation, and indeed for those who were unborn during the struggle here, what does Mandela really mean today?
You know, I mean, this is one time, one of the few times where almost everyone you speak to is united in sending best wishes for the family, for Madiba. And you can see that he is a centrifugal figure for South Africans, young and old. I think everyone recognizes the hard work that got us to this point, and how instrumental figures like Mandela were in that hard work. So I think there is a universality about young people feeling we are quite sad that Mr. Mandela isn't as well. We do wish him well. And, you know, as much as we're hopeful, we're also an accepting nation with regards to whatever it is that God has planned.
But let me ask you this, because you do sense to some extent that Mandela's mere existence does to some extent keep the lid on matters here. The ANC is losing traction to some extent. There's great discontent over the fact that the land reform hasn't really occurred, and there's still great disparities between rich and poor. Do you fear what may happen once Madiba is dead?
I suppose that's akin to saying that the British population will fall apart if Winston Churchill doesn't rule from the grave. I think everyone accepts that Mandela and his cohort have played an incredible role, and we're all beginning to understand just how much we have to get our own hands dirty and how involved we have to get in dealing with all of the matters that bedevil South Africa, which I suppose in the greater context of life are not much different from the issues that bedevil most developing nations and any nation that has a young population that wants jobs.
Shaka Sisulu, thank you very much indeed for joining us from Johannesburg.